7 in the morning.
Yeah.
Join Blindrun and slangarang. They talk about video games every Monday at 10 p.m. Eastern Time and 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Twitch.tv/blindrungaming. Thanks for tuning in, you sexy beasts. Yeah! All right, not every time can be perfect. All right, not every time, but we'll get better at that once again. Welcome to the 119th episode of the Blindrun Gaming Podcast, where we drink beer, talk about video games, and have a good time. It's a good time to come back with it because E3 is going on right now. And I don't know how much you've been looking at E3 Slang, but maybe I just need to give you the rundown on the last three panels.
I haven't watched the last three panels. I've been paying attention to like the huge announcements, but nothing so far has like really jumped out as holy shit to me.
Okay, so we had EA yesterday, and I guess we'll start with EA. But first we'll talk about, well, I was going to say we'll talk about what we're drinking tonight. I did get a Blue Moon, and I have a leftover Coors Light from last night. So I was going to do that. I don't know if you're on water, so now I'm just.
I'm on water. I can go grab a beer, but I'm trying to work on getting rid of some of this chub.
All right. We'll leave it at that. Maybe next week I'll get you to drink a beer. I'll just be the lone alcoholic tonight. That's fine. I'm okay with that. I'm self-confident enough to deal with being the only alcoholic here, so don't worry about it. It doesn't hurt my feelings at all, but yeah. So, EA E3, did you check it out at all? What do you know? And now I'll catch
No, I did not.
Okay, so EA at E3 pretty much came out and it was the apologist for loot boxes presentation. It was, hey guys, we got Battlefield 5. Number one thing, no loot boxes and no premium. Sorry. And then it was like, Battlefront 2, we listened to you guys. We're really sorry, and we're really trying to add some more content. And so that wraps up EA as a whole, what was going on with the presentation. The games that we're looking at, of course, is going to be Battlefield 5. They released Unravel 2 yesterday, which was interesting. Pretty cool. And then they are, what was the last game? I'm derping now. I had a list up, but I'll have to probably pull it up again.
I should probably check out Unravel 1 and 2, because Unravel 1 looked like it was amazing.
Unravel 1 was great. Yeah.
I never like remembered to go and pick it up. Now, did you go and see any of the Anthem stuff? Because that was the game that I was most excited from the last E3.
So they showed Anthem. Some of the worrisome things for me is he was like, well, we're really trying to like fix the problem of playing co-op and breaking immersion. So what we did is all of the story missions happen in your home tower, and then when you're out in the field, there's no story stuff going on. And I was like, I feel like that breaks immersion more.
Yeah, 100%.
So just from him describing that, I'm not expecting any story, right? I'm not expecting to get immersed into the story is what I should say. Just from the way you described that.
The best game that we've played recently, I would argue, is the, what is it, Breaking Out? Or
A Way Out?
A Way Out. And that was co-op with an amazing story. So...
From the ground up, you have to build a game for co-op, though. And this is... Anthem is more of a loot grind. I think maybe...
Yeah, almost like Diablo or something like that.
Yeah, where the story is secondary to getting items and leveling up, right? So...
Yeah.
It was funny that they harped on the story portion so much when I feel like it already out of the gate has no chance at having a cohesive... immersed storyline, in my opinion, but we'll see.
I definitely don't agree with like the method in their madness. I feel like going through a story with someone else is just too hard for them, and that's why they're like, fuck it, let's not do it.
Well, it is hard, right? Like if you think about trying to build that into the game, you have to build the game ground up for co-op, and then you probably break a lot of the other mechanics that they're trying to input into the co-op portion, right? So the open world, it's probably the open world that breaks it more than anything else. So you think about like story with Destiny 2. I don't know what the fuck's going on in Destiny. Not that I don't like the game. I'm saying story-wise, I was never immersed. It's not like I'm tracking very well with it.
Yeah, no, I was like, oh, I can go and grind a shit ton, get all sorts of cool gear, and then wait, what's left to do in this game?
Right.
And I played the crap out of it. Like I think I went so far to go and try to level up and get my energy or light level, whatever the hell it's called, up to max, that I leveled a hunter twice to go and
I did that too. When it first launched, I did it twice because you got that extra drop or whatever, the one extra
exactly
drop.
The one extra drop.
Which
it was one extra, like the legendary engram or whatever, and then you got like 3 of the weekly engrams or something a second time.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's 3 that were locked to, you know, the hunter or whatever, but like, and they said, oh no, we're gonna make it such that deleting your character and remaking it won't help you, but in reality that it did help you, and you got basically 4 items better.
Right. So yeah, Shade says Destiny had the worst storyline ever. I don't know if it was the worst storyline ever because I don't know what the storyline was. Like, I can't speak to what the story is because I was never immersed in the story enough to pay attention to it.
It wasn't that bad. It was just, the problem is, like, people are going to throw extra shade towards them for just not having Destiny 1 continue. Then they're like, oh, let's make it Destiny 2. And now, like, because of why they've gone and fucked with it so hard and done such a poor job with, you know, keeping their public image up, they're going to probably have to do a Destiny 3 a lot sooner than they would have expected to.
Anticipated. Yeah, that does bring up a good point. It's funny how the games that seem to be falling behind more or can't hold up as better seem to get sequels faster. And there's a couple here for the Microsoft one that I was going to talk about. So Microsoft came out and they said, we're going to release a shit ton of exclusives. That's like what Phil Spencer walks out. We have a ton of exclusives for you guys today. And then they proceeded to have a whole bunch of world premieres that were not exclusive. Like, I don't know how to put it, but it was like, so the exclusive list that I got so far is Forza Horizon 4, Halo.
Which, surprise, Forza is going to be exclusive.
Yeah. Halo Infinity, Gears of War 5, and and Battletoads.
What?
Battletoads.
30 years later?
30 years later. So they bought that. They bought a ton of studios, so I think they're planning on making those studios have custom or exclusive content. They're technically counting PUBG as an exclusive, but we kind of all know that's bullshit. For the plain fact that nobody's going to play it on Xbox anyways.
I mean, there are people that play it on Xbox, but they're wrong. So,
and there's not. You're never going to see an esports PUBG tournament on Xbox. Like,
I mean, people complain about esports PUBG on PC because of, you know, all of
the performance,
silly issues that PUBG has, like driving around and hitting an invisible rock and exploding and dying. That's always fun.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't count it. So they did not have enough exclusives, but what they did do is they have the Xbox Game Pass. And the Xbox Game Pass, I don't know if you have it already or not, but I think I paid $30 last year for a year of it. Now it's $9 a month, but you can get deals on it all the time. The impressive part there is that now all of those games from Microsoft are day one unlocked with Game Pass. So you pay $60 a year on the top end, right? If you don't buy it on a sale or something, and you get all of the games as they release from Microsoft Studios.
Oh, okay, but that's still, I don't know if that's still a deal, you know.
So you got four. You got 4 coming out.
That's what. So it's $120 a year if you're paying the $10 a month, and you get what? Just the exclusives from Microsoft. So that's, I don't know.
Not just the exclusives from Microsoft. You still get all the. So Bethesda partnered with them. So you get Fallout 4 is on there, Elder Scrolls Online is on there. You get all the Bethesda games. You get a whole bunch of back compatible games, and so on. I think he's saying, is it separate from Xbox Live? And yes, it's separate from Xbox Live. So you have to pay for Xbox Live and the Game Pass. It's still better than the EA Access Pass, right? Which is just kind of shit at this point. And it's locked down to a single publisher. I think if EA would have partnered with Xbox, that would have been a little bit better. And by that, I mean, when they did that, you remember E3 when they announced the EA Access and like PlayStation told them no, and Xbox said that they could put it on Xbox, and it was kind of a big deal. But then Xbox did their own Game Pass. I don't know why those didn't get consolidated.
I feel like everybody's going and trying to push towards a subscription model for everything. Like, everybody's like, oh, well, you just get so much more free money. Like, oh, well, Netflix is one of the biggest and most successful things. Amazon
so
is
let's
one of the
copy that.
Most successful retailers, and they have, effectively a pass with their Prime. So
yeah, and it can work for games. The only way it works for games if it's like on a platform like Xbox Live or like PlayStation Network or like Steam. It only works if you have multiple publishers, and then the second portion to that is if you get the game the day it comes out. If you don't get the game the day it comes out, it's useless. Like,
I don't know if it's that. So I think if someone is new to a system, say they've always been an Xbox guy and they buy a PlayStation, or they've always been a PlayStation kid, so they go and get an Xbox. Maybe. In order to go and play that back catalog that they haven't played, they haven't experienced. Like, for example, when Sony came out with their Sony Plus or whatever, and I went and looked at it and I was like, $9 a month or $14 a month, whatever it was. I don't remember the number. I went through and played like 3 God of Wars in a month, and that I hadn't played before, because I was like, God of War is a fun series, but I've never played it, and I'm gonna go and give it a try.
Right. And I mean, I guess that makes sense, but then you don't have the incentive to keep it once you've played the games that are available on it, right?
Right, but I mean, with all of those type of subscription models, the idea is that you forget you have it and you continue to pay it despite not using it. Like,
and Cell says he thinks that Game Pass and Live should be consolidated, and I think I agree with that. I think that it should be consolidated. It makes the most sense.
I mean, you'd be looking at the price going up for Live.
Do you?
Or, well, call it Live Pass or something like that.
I don't know.
Yeah, it would have to go up, because the entire idea of Live is that you're basically paying for their servers.
At this point, though, how many of their games have dedicated servers that are not being or they're not being hosted by the game developer, not by Xbox anymore? Like Elder Scrolls Online's being hosted by Bethesda. It's not being hosted by Xbox Live anymore. So other than Halo and Gears, which are dead servers now, let's be honest, there's not that many people playing on them. There's not much going on. So I don't know. I think that it doesn't have to go up in price. I think they just make the Live portion free, and I think they will, actually, to a certain extent.
I don't know. I feel like that's one of those things. I want them to, don't get me wrong. I think it's stupid that you have to pay to go and be able to play with friends on the internet when you can literally buy a shit computer and go and load up, Dota 2 and play for free.
Well, here's their biggest problem. Xbox Play Anywhere. You don't have to... You get the game on PC, you don't have to pay for Xbox Live. So, like, State of Decay 2 just came out. It's even cross-play over to the Xbox One. The person on the PC playing with me doesn't have to have Xbox Live, but I do on Xbox.
Right. Which is, it's weird. It's janky.
So it doesn't,
crap.
yeah, it doesn't make any sense. The other question, the second part to that is they've been pushing they've had this service for the Play Anywhere, and you can play Gears on PC. The new Halo is going to be on PC now. It's going to have Xbox Play Anywhere. That's really, really cool, but does my Xbox Game Pass translate to the PC version of the game? Not yet. It kind of needs to, right? At this point, because if the advertisement is play on any device that you want to play on, right? Any device you want to play on, anytime you want, your saves transfer over and all of that. Well, go ahead. Having the Game Pass for me for a title that's on both PC and Xbox makes no sense because I still have to buy the game to get the Xbox Play Anywhere.
Right.
So it's all janky. They need to work on that system. I think they're kind of ashamed of the Xbox Play Anywhere because they didn't even mention it really. Like it says it in the bottom and then they'll put and also on Windows 10. But it's like their greatest feature and they don't ever talk about it. It's weird.
What about the mention of the new or working on a new Xbox?
I think that is due to them finding out last minute that PlayStation's going to announce a PS5.
Because they were late to the game because the PS4 Pro came out before the Xbox One X.
Yeah.
And they kind of like shoved the Xbox One X out.
So what I saw here is we've seen leaks for PlayStation 5, right, with Ryzen hardware in it, so on and so forth. And I think what happened is they went into an oh shit moment. We have an E3 presentation. We present first. We're gonna have to say something. Let's just say we've been working on one, right? Because if they would have actually had any data, they would have given us a code name like Xbox Scorpio, or they would have at least given us some sort of specs or something, right? But they gave us nothing, which means to me that's super last minute thrown together. Let's just say we got something in the works, because otherwise we're going to get hammered by Sony here on Monday. And I think that what that means, I think it's a foreshadowing to Sony coming out with a PS5 announcement on
Right,
Monday.
but they said that the PS5 is getting worked on, but they also said that it won't be out for another 3 years. So, 3 years is a long time, and that's basically enough for...
Well, I don't remember Sony saying anything about when it's coming out.
I'm looking at a source right now.
Okay.
That says John Codero said that the release of the PlayStation 5 will not take place within the next 3 years.
Well, we'll find out Monday, right? But they've announced...
Yeah, he might just be, blowing smoke to go and get Xbox to be like, oh, no, don't worry, we don't have anything. Even though, for all we know, Monday they could pull a fucking Apple and say, hey, here's the PlayStation 5 and it's released. You can buy it tomorrow. So
from my perspective, though, they released the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X. Now, granted, PS4 Pro doesn't have as much potential as the Xbox One X, but we haven't even gotten to the point of the developers being able to have any relevant time with the Xbox One X at this point, and they're already pushing out 1080p 60 FPS. They're pushing out 4K 60 FPS in some games, and before people can even learn the hardware for these 4K capable consoles, quote unquote, we're just going to move on to a new console generation announcements. It seems very awkward, right? And then, didn't Xbox, pretty much say that they're never going to... all Xbox games are going to be backwards compatible, all people on every Xbox since the Xbox One. are going to be able to play with each other. They'll just be different iterations of the console. You might get some performance advantages here, but the same games will come out on the same platform. That was the point of the One, remember?
Yeah.
So what are they going to release? Like an Xbox One? Like, I don't know. Do they break that? Do they break that promise at the end of the day? PS4 Pro is 2 years old now? I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. I'd have to look into it a little bit more before I knew. So the rest of the stuff out at Microsoft was there's a new From Software game coming out. Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. I'm pretty excited about that one because I'm a masochist, so I'm pretty stoked on that one. I think it'll be good. If you want to just be awful at games and get killed all the time. And then they had Tom Clancy's Division 2. Sling.
Yeah, sorry, talking to chat without saying it out loud.
Just talk to him out loud. You're all good. The Division 2. You were a Division fan.
I love the Division 1. And it did have its issues, and apparently they fixed a lot of them, but I haven't gone and given
performance issues. Yeah.
It was more than just performance issues. It was really all over the place. They had a number of different, there was gear issues where it was really, they had 4 different flavors of like end game gear, but really only 1 or 2 of them were good.
Yeah.
So there's loot balance issues. There was
the end game sucked. Yeah, it was not.
There was a lot of end game.
It was not good enough, right?
Right.
I mean, Destiny. It was no Destiny end game, and Destiny end game's not perfect either.
Right.
It's really hard to be on par with Blizzard end game. I think that's what I've learned. Right. Like you can't. Once somebody has gotten to an end game situation in a Blizzard title, like if they play anything else, it's like meh. I'm good. So they showed that it had the Air Force One out there. It's still going to be like that 4-player co-op thing going on. There's not a lot different from the first division that I personally saw. They did say the world's going to be like 2 times as large. I think it was
Which is a good thing.
Yeah, I think it was too small anyways. So a couple times larger is good, right? And that's about it there. Then Devil May Cry 5 with the original Devil May Cry, what do you call them? Not producer.
Devs?
Game designer.
Ah.
So they're doing that, but they kept that new Dante in the preview.
Which you don't like.
Yeah. So hopefully they have a skin like they did before in that DMC reboot. But they pretty much ignored DMC as a thing. It was really fucking funny. They're like, so we're coming out with a sequel to Devil May Cry 4 that you guys really deserve. And just completely ignored the existence of DMC. Which was interesting. I feel like this E3, the theme of it has been... I feel like the theme of this E3 has been, let's apologize for everything we fucked up. From everybody that's been out there so far, it's been like, let's just apologize for every single thing we screwed up and then go from there. Moving on, though, on the Microsoft thing, we had Jump Force, which is Dragon Ball Z, and then they threw in a cameo with Kira in it from Death Note. And it's like a Smash Bros. And it has a whole bunch of different characters, mainly like anime characters. It had obviously Death Note, it had Dragon Ball Z, stuff like that. So I think you're looking at, for that one in particular, something that's going to be more along the lines of like a Smash Brothers or a brawler, right? And that one's going to be kind of cool. Then we talked about Battletoads. Dying Light 2 is coming. And Dying Light 2 is going to be larger and have a decision, what do you call it? A multiple choice game changing effect system. So we've seen it previously. Like, so Deus Ex was like one of the first. I can always go to that, where you have the conversation lines that change the game, so on and so forth. This one's super in depth though. So one of the examples, or the example they showed, is you go in and you have the peacekeepers. They're like the gang or whatever that control like all the water supply and so on. And you have the option to kill the peacekeepers or keep the peacekeepers alive or something like that. Actually, reverse that. Sorry, it was the enemy of the peacekeepers. You could kill the enemy of the peacekeepers, or you could join their team. That's what you could do. The rebellion. If you kill them,
a lot more similar to BioShock, where you could drain little girls, or you could like save the little girls.
Except way more impactful to the game. So you know it's an open world game, right? If you kill them, the peacekeepers take control, and they are able to bring the water supply to the public across the entire thing. The thing is, you end up being in a police state with the peacekeepers, but everybody's a lot more, like, in general, more happy during the day because they have access to water and so forth. If you decide to join up with the rebels and sell the water on the black market, there's no longer any water supply on the street. So everybody, all the regular Joes and stuff, start getting up in arms and fighting or just more hostile in general. So the public became, but that's the whole world. Like, super interesting what they're doing there. Probably one of the most interesting things that I've seen as far as like gameplay mechanics and the way you affect the world when you're doing something. I don't know. Pretty cool shit. I think that was one of the most exciting things for me so far.
I don't know, that seems kind of weak to me. Like, it's
how though
that type of thing has been done before. Because to me, it's you can basically do the same thing in World of Warcraft right now by just choosing to play Horde or choosing to play Alliance. So, okay, now... And then, I mean, yeah, I'm minimizing the impact that you're having and how much it changes the world, but it changes where you can go in the world type thing, you know? So, like, yeah, your decision has some sort of impact, but I don't
But it has impact on your gameplay, and then they said there's over 100 decisions that will change the entire, like, world like that.
Right.
So what it does is, like, you end up getting a different game experience every time you play it. That's the interesting part, right? But also not having one of those stupid story games. And I say stupid, they're cool, right? Like Detroit Become Human just recently, or Beyond Two Souls or something like that. But instead, it's like that, but instead of in those games where you have very minimal control over the gameplay, you actually still have control over the gameplay, right?
Right.
It's basically combining those two ideas, which I think I'm fine with. And going through the rest of these, like, there's not much to be excited about. So when I say that's one of the more exciting things to talk about, that's why, right? Just Cause 4, meh. Shitty open world game. I don't know. Lots of people love it. There's destruction, so on and so forth. I've never been a Just Cause guy, so I can't speak to it enough. I just knew as soon as it popped up, the main character, I was like, oh, Just Cause 4. And like I was saying earlier, like, when games apparently fail these days, they just release a sequel faster, which doesn't seem to really solve the problem, but that's what they do. I don't know. They need to make money off the series, right? And then the cringiest, worst announcement from the Microsoft display is they popped the Gears of War logo up. And I'll try to... You can go rewatch my live stream. I go, yes! And then out of the Gears of War logo pops pop characters. You know those little pop characters?
Yeah.
And then it goes Gears of War pop on iPhone and fucking Android. I was like, God damn it. It was so funny. The whole crowd was the same way. They go, woo! And then everybody just gets super quiet because they're like just pissed. Everybody was expecting Gears 5, right? And that's what, so they pop it up. And then so they go through the whole, like, let's talk about pop. And, like, you can just see people are just, like, not happy in the crowd. Just pissed off. Like, we're thinking we're getting a new Gears. Now we're getting some shitty mobile game. It's fucking EA fucking Command and Conquer all over again. And then he goes, okay, so no, we also have a Windows game coming out. And they have Gears of War Tactics, which is like XCOM in the Gears of War universe on Windows 10 coming. And then,
that sounds cool.
Yeah, it does look. It looks cool too. And that's going to be Windows only, Windows 10. And then they came out with the Gears of War 5 announcement.
So they just completely like, oh well. Let's show this little shitty thing and this kind of cool thing that not a lot of people are going to be into, but only some people will like it. And then they'll think that nothing else is coming and be disappointed. And then we're going to show them the real thing. And it's like, you've already lost us. Like, you already pissed us off 5 minutes ago.
You already fucked it. Like, I wonder how many people just walked out of the theater at that point. Were like, I'm done. Just, you fucked up. It was a backwards presentation, right? If you want to build the hype, you do. So it's like Bethesda's presentation tonight, right? They go Fallout 76. Oh, by the way, Fallout Shelter's coming out. Oh, by the way, they do it after. So for some reason, like Microsoft doesn't understand the order of presentation to keep the hype alive, to where they just like destroyed it with like Gears of War pop, and you're like fuck. But yes, there's still a Gears of War 5 coming out. Don't worry about it.
You go and get people really excited, and then you go and show them more things that, like, if they had gone Gears 5 first, and then the Gears Tactics, they'd have a lot more people being like, holy shit, that looks awesome. And then you go and do Gears Pop, and they'd be like, oh, well, I guess, well, while I'm happy about the Gears 5 shit, we can go and... I guess I can play it on my phone too.
Play it, yeah. It's like, if I want to. I do want to call out Giz though before we go too much further. He says he's not a Gears of War person, but 5 looks like it's going to focus more on story than just mass chaos. And I think that you have obviously never played Gears of War if you aren't aware of how good they are at story. Gears of War 1, 2, and 3 were fantastic at story. Definitely should check it out. They've been really good at story. They've pulled a ton of emotions out of me with their storytelling. Skip Judgment. Just skip it. But other than that.
Judgment is basically the scraps from Gears of War 3. Mm-hmm. All the levels that they cut from Gears of War 3 because Gears of War 3 was too long and taking too long.
And they were like, remember, so Gears of War 3 had Horde mode, right? And then Gears of War Judgment was like, so we have this Horde mode thing. Instead of making actual levels for the campaign, let's just make them all Horde levels. And it was the worst fucking thing. I hated that, dude. I hated that. I remember when we got it, I was like, oh, here goes another Horde mode in campaign.
I mean, Sal, it's one of those things where they grew into it. And like Gears 3 is the best of the series, I would argue. And yeah, Gears 2 is good, and Gears 1 isn't as good as the other two, but when you go and culminate and you get better each time and you go to a point where your third one is the best one, that isn't something that always happens. Like Destiny 2 is terrible. Destiny
but Gears
1
3
is much
story,
better than
right?
Destiny 2.
Like, so Gears 3 story was the one where Dom's wife dies, right? Yeah. Gears 3 was Dom's wife dies in Gears 3. And they were building up that whole story to that like pinnacle moment in Gears 3. So I think if you play them all in order, that's why to me Gears has a good story. Is they had that build up to the climax, give you a reason to want to go beat the shit out of the Locust, and then you just get that satisfying gunplay of like literally beating the shit out of people and chainsawing them and stuff, and just giving you a reason to fight, right? That was just awesome. So that was the Gears presentation. I was just like, Microsoft, sometimes you guys are just like, all you had to do was say Gears 5 first. That's all they had to do, and it would have changed the entire mood of the entire presentation. And Gears of War 5 is on Game Pass. If you have Game Pass, it's free. So there you go.
It's one of those things, like, if they were a Major League pitcher, they went and they started with just a little slow center of the plate ball pitch that everybody just basically hit out of the park.
Yeah.
Instead of just throwing heat the first pitch.
The first pitch. Right. Yeah. They set the expectation low. And then, it's just bad. So it was just bad. I have nothing better for you. A game I think you're gonna like. I assume you're a fan of The Witcher.
I am.
Okay.
And yeah, I was just looking at this and was going to
Okay.
say, you haven't mentioned, and one of the things that I always look for at E3 is the big announcement of what's the new IP that people are going to be all excited about. So last year was Anthem. This year, I think it's Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah. So we have a Witcher in Cyberpunk, essentially.
Yeah.
Cyberpunk universe. And they're really good developers, so they never fuck anything up really that I can think of.
Even if
awesome.
they do fuck things up, they're like the best about fixing it and making sure that they fix it the right way.
Right. So I'm super stoked on Cyberpunk 2077. I don't know what else there is to say there. That was the Microsoft presentation. I think it came down to the fact that they had a whole bunch of world premiere exclusives, but they didn't have exclusives. Like, they just don't. Like, they tried to make it look like they did, but the only new IP that's exclusive was fucking Battletoads.
Right.
The rest was like, here's another Gears, another Halo, another Forza. Have a good day. It's the same shit we get every year from Microsoft. Which is disappointing, because I have a feeling Sony's probably going to destroy them. Probably.
Now, what's next? So Sony's tomorrow?
Sony is Monday.
Tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow. Sorry. Tomorrow's Monday. Fuck. It's a bad day. Yeah, Sony is tomorrow. So we'll see what they've got.
Because I'm looking for Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah, that might happen. We'll have to see. And then finally we had Bethesda tonight, and there's a whole bunch of hype. So Bethesda is launching Fallout 76. That was the big one. And Fallout 76 is co-op. Multiplayer. More than co-op. It's like
which
co-op
is
versus...
kind of awesome. Like they've never had co-op in Fallout. So
yeah, and it is, instead of going the route like they did with the Elder Scrolls Online, this is like dedicated servers where you have, he clarified, dozens of people, because it's the apocalypse. It would be unrealistic if there was more than dozens of people, but you have dozens of people online, right, in your server, right, in your dedicated server. And these NPCs can be real, stuff like that, real people. So it's looking pretty nuts. It's not looking like it still looks like Fallout, but it could be pretty fun.
I was kind of hoping that this would be in one of the areas like that didn't get absolutely destroyed by nukes, so maybe there was some green. I was watching a video the other day, and one of the inside jokes that the world designers had was that they're not allowed to use green outside of the UI on the Pip-Boy. Everything has to be shades of brown because it's desolate and destroyed.
Well, there's green in this one because it was West Virginia, and then they just played West Virginia, the song or whatever. Mountain Mama, take me home.
So everybody in Fallout 76 has to be white then, right?
I think so. I think that's a prerequisite to living in West
They are
Virginia.
they're literally the least diverse state in the country. So
that's crazy. I didn't actually know that.
Yeah.
So
everybody is white in West Virginia.
I did not know that. I might have to fact check you. I'll Google it. I won't.
Go ahead.
I have no need to Google it. They saw no. They said all cultures and races. Silly. Of course there will be, because Fallout character creation. Barp, 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 barp. The rest of Bethesda was okay. A new Doom. Fucking stoked on that. Seems really early, but we have a new Doom.
Oh yeah, the last one was not too long ago.
Yeah, so already a new Doom. Quake is free now for the week. Quake is always supposed to go free at some point, Quake Champions. What's weird right now is before release, what they're doing is you have a week to get in for free. So this week, if you get in for free this week, which the servers are down right now, but if you do, if you manage to, then you get the game for free, the early access for free until whatever. And what else did... Help me out in chat, guys. What else for Bethesda? Rage 2. And they had Andrew WK come out and play. But Rage 2...
And Wolfenstein Youngblood?
And Wolfenstein Youngblood, which are his daughters, it looks like. Co-op, though. That was a big thing about Wolfenstein 2. Or New Blood. Blades.
And then they announced Starfield?
Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6, but they were not real announcements. It was like, we're working on it. Here's a logo.
Yeah, just like Sony
like,
will say
like
PS5.
Yeah. It's just like Xbox's new console announcement. We're working on a new console. All right. Thanks. That tells me nothing, but okay.
Right.
Like, so that's they got two
it's
new...
It's like, no, what else would Sony be doing? Like...
Right. Well, and so, it's the same thing with Bethesda, but they're looking strong. Fallout 76 looks really strong. They said Elder Scrolls Online is the #1 MMO, and they have 12 million concurrent players online right now. Something stupid like that.
Wait. So they're beating World of Warcraft?
Yeah, they're beating World of Warcraft in amount of players. ESO is. And apparently it's made like a huge comeback. And I need to go play it because I don't understand how. It is free on Xbox, so I might just play it on Xbox. Just fucking get an idea. But yeah, it's apparently beating World of Warcraft in player count. So Blades on all platforms and cross-platform. And yeah, Elder Scrolls 6, Rage 2, Fallout 76, Shelter content, and Doom. Don't call it Doom 2. There has been a Doom 2. What was it? Doom Resurrection or Doom something like that. But hell is on Earth now in Doom, which is cool. And then if we're talking about Rage 2, did you ever play Bulletstorm on the Xbox 360?
I feel like I have.
You know, like all those like crazy moves where like you were able to grab them and kick them and then shoot them and you got the combos and all that shit.
Yeah.
Rage is doing that, but in an open world. So the gunplay looks fucking on point, and they're using the same engine as Doom. So and it's ID Software came in to help them this time. So I'm hoping Rage doesn't get all fucked up because it looks pretty good. They did the cheesy intro with fucking Andrew WK though, which was like, it was funny because I don't not like Andrew WK, right? But we want to get to the games, and you could tell everybody like in the audience was like, "Can you just show us the game, please?"
Right.
We didn't come to E3 for Andrew WK concert. I always feel bad when they do that to those people too, right? Like they just... I feel bad for Andrew WK because you got to go out there, play to a seated crowd, and you play fucking metal. Like, game over, dude. There's no hype. There's no hype going on for you at this point. You're just fucked. So I already shared with you guys the Game Pass. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything. I played 4 hours of Unravel 2 this weekend with my daughter. Super good.
The first one?
The second one. Unravel 2.
Oh, the second one.
We already beat the first one. My daughter and I did. So we're on to the second one. But it came out.
How does that work? Are you like handing off the controller, or she hands you it during hard
for
parts? For
Unravel? The first one?
Yeah. Or for 2?
2's completely co-op.
Oh, 2 is completely co-op. Oh, no, I did. Sorry. I saw...
So the coolest... If you want to find a game to play with the 6-year-old guys, Unravel 2 is perfect. So here's what happens. Worst case, I have to get her. I just have to tell her to stand somewhere, and that's about it, right? And the best part is, like, if it gets too complicated, you press Y to piggyback onto the other person. So I just walk up to her and I say, press Y. She'll Y to me. I can do the swing, like some of the more complicated, like, platforming stuff.
Right.
It's fucking, and the game's beautiful, dude. The game has some of the best depth of field I've seen, like, ever. Like, if you want to just feel, like, stoned by only playing a video game, play Unravel. Like, it's just, it's got that ASMR and, like, but, like, real legit, like, ASMR, like, turn the lights off, sit down, turn the volume up, just chill, dude. It's so good. It's so fucking good. It puts you in a good mood too. I don't
That'll be different than what I'm currently playing. So
what are you playing?
I finally set my Rift up downstairs.
Okay.
Like, I've set it up in my office here occasionally, but there's not a lot of space to move around, you know.
Yeah.
I can't do any stand-up games, but and I had never used the Oculus Touch. I bought one, and then I never went and set it up and used it, just because there were too many other things to do, too much PUBG or WoW or whatever else game I was playing. So earlier, the beginning of May, there is a new game that came out, and I've always been into, like, the rhythm-based games.
No, like, I know what you're playing.
I was huge. Yeah, you do. I was huge into DDR when I was a kid.
Yeah.
In high school and whatnot. So I've been playing the crap out of Beat Sabers.
Yeah.
It is amazing. But
I knew that was exactly what you were playing. So.
Oh, it's so fucking good.
It really is the first VR game to buy VR for, though, at this point, right? I mean.
So.
If we're
also
talking
with the Touch, you get this game called, what is it called? Robo Recall.
Yeah, Robo Recall. Yeah,
that's really fun as well. But I get a little bit motion sickness, in that game, which I just need to play more to go and get rid of that. But, like, you can literally go and
I get a little bit of motion sickness from vodka too, so I just drink more to get rid of that.
You could go and, like, grab a robot and then pull its head off, and that counts as deconstructing the robot.
Nice.
You can, like, grab a bullet out of midair and then throw it back at your enemy, and you get more points because you killed them with their own bullet type stuff. Nice. It's just pure unadulterated, and there's a combo meter and all that, so it's pure fun. And I'm not that far into the game yet, so I'm sure there's more secrets to go with it.
Super secrets. So this was the end of the first Blindrun gaming podcast in a long time. I think it was about as awkward as the previous ones. Not quite as smooth, but I think it went well.
We also changed up the format because we usually will go in what we've been playing lately, and then we jump into the main topic.
But we had to talk about E3.
Straight main topic.
There's so much E3 to talk about.
There is a lot of E3 to talk about. Yeah.
Do
you know what else I've been playing lately?
What?
Hold on, I'll show you.
On the phone.
Mind you, it's a phone game, so that'll go and tell you something. I don't know how well you guys can see that.
We can't.
But Pokemon Go.
Pokemon Go. Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, I went and hung out with some friends that I hadn't seen in basically 10 years that I used to play WoW with. And they were like, oh, let's go play Pokemon Go. And I was like, what? Seriously?
I didn't know people still played it.
I didn't know people still played it either. But I went and they did like a raid, and I was like, wait, what? There's raids now? That's kind of cool. And there's like a whole like organized community with like Discords based on your geographical region. So like there's a Discord for New Hampshire or Southern New Hampshire where I live. Yeah. Where you can just be like, oh, let's go. There's a raid popping, and we need 12 people to go and attack it in order to go and have a chance to catch this legendary Pokemon. And it's only in this short window of an hour, so we need people to show up all at the same time to go and do it. So it's like, it actually goes and brings a new element that's really fun to it. That, I mean, yeah, you have to deal with the type of people that play Pokemon Go, but
that play Pokemon and walk around. It's like going to a BYOC. It's like I'm going to a BYOC, but I don't really want to hang out with people. I want to stand here and look at my computer. But just
right, yeah, Gizmo. So they just had like basically what they'll do is they'll have it's kind of like what World of Warcraft does, where they'll go and release a new raid, and then people will go and play a lot just while the new raid is out. And then as soon as you start to get things on farm status, people will quit and wait until the new raid comes out. So what they're doing now is that they'll have like an 8-week segment where they have a new, okay, this will be water Pokemon, or this will be all grass or poison or dragons or whatever, you know. And during that time, the most elite raid is going to be a specific type of Pokemon. So right now it's Kyrogi or something. And 2 weeks ago it was Ho-Oh, some Firebird thing. I'm a 151 purist typically, so all these like new ass names, I'm like, whatever. There's a Firebird, and this is like a flying whale thing. But the new one just got released like 2 days ago, so you're gonna have like a week of people playing a lot, and then once people catch, you know, shiny Kyrogis, they're gonna go and be like, all right, well, I'm done for the next 6 weeks, and we'll wait until the next patch comes out, and then we'll start playing again. So Pokemon Go is gonna be one of those games where you're gonna go and have it be very cyclical of spikes in players and lulls in players for the foreseeable future.
Are you playing any PC games? We could do that before we go, but we'll have to go here pretty shortly.
PUBG and Dota 2.
Okay.
And Fortnite. We could do Fortnite. That's probably better than PUBG.
Oh, you want to play a game? Oh, no, I say what you've been playing.
Oh.
Like, because we didn't do that, so I was going to do that. But at the same time, right. maybe the podcast. This is going to be hard. We are going to have to get our mojo back. That's going to have to happen.
We are.
Yeah. We'll work on it. It'll be fine. We'll talk. We'll get the whole format in. Next week's going to be clusterfuck too, though, because we have to do E3 again. So we'll have Monday. We'll have Monday. But are those the games you're playing? PUBG and fucking
PUBG and Dota 2.
Okay.
Dota 2 has the international coming up, so they're
right.
doing
So all the items,
the lead up hype to the international, and that's a lot of fun. So I've been focusing on, you know, trying to get through all that.
So I played a new PUBG type game.
You did?
Realm Royale by High Res Studios. Played the alpha for that one. It is also on Twitch beating PUBG in viewers because Shroud switched to it, of all people. So, it's down below again.
Shroud is playing PUBG right now, so he's back to that.
Which is why that number shifts. I see the shift, though. But, I mean, still, there's
50,000 people switching the channel.
Yeah, there's 69,000 people watching Realm Royale right now and 72,000 people watching PUBG. For a game that's in pre-alpha, that's pretty impressive.
It is pretty impressive.
So I have Realm Royale installed. I think I have PUBG. So if you want to go do a round of PUBG, we can do that before I go to bed. I've been playing a lot of Dauntless. It's a action RPG loot grind.
Wait, so Realm Royale looks like Fortnite more than PUBG.
No, not like either one at all. So in Realm Royale, you have RPG elements. The characters are heavily... you ever play Paladins?
Yeah.
The active abilities are like from Paladins. So you pick up abilities. Abilities are drops from chests. And they have different levels of quality. And then you pick up items that have different levels of quality. And then there are little bases that have things called a forge. And in that forge, you can craft legendary items. And so every time you go up and like undo a chest and pick up the stuff, instead of leaving the rest of the stuff laying around, you disassemble it or disenchant it, and you get materials to go to the legendary forge and then forge better equipment. It's pretty cool. It's it's a completely different spin on the battle royale, and in a good way, right? Because we've been getting like the reason Fortnite was successful compared to PUBG is they had the spin with the building on it, right? The building, the items.
Right.
The reason Realm Royale is because they spun off and they're doing like some really cool shit with upgrades and stuff.
Right. Yeah, no, I clicked over to Summit 1G's stream for a second to go and because he's playing it.
I know Fortnite is also free. Fortnite is free, and so is Realm Royale. All high-res games are free. All of them. But, yeah, we can do... Well, let me look. So, let me open my Steam. We can do... I got Ancestors Legacy installed. But, yeah, I got Realm Royale. I got Rocket League. I got... Do I have PUBG on here? I do not have PUBG installed on here right now. Fuck. I got Spin Tires Mud.
We can do some Rocket League.
God, that's gonna suck. But okay, cool. We'll do the after party in just a sec, guys. If you want to come hang out, thanks for coming in for episode 119 of the Blindrun Gaming Podcast. What do you call it? The revival. We'll be back next week.
The revival.
Next week we'll be back at 9 p.m. Because I want. All right. That's what we'll do. But I'm gonna go into the BRB and then we'll play. I'm gonna go unlive and live so I cut the fucking shit so I don't have to do that later.
Sounds good.